Welcome to the Healing for the Heart podcast. I'm Jem, I'm the fundraiser, and I've been at Healing for the Heart for something like 4 months now, and with me is Donna. And
Hi.
Donna, you've been here how long?
Just over 3 years?
3 years. And you're the community development worker.
I am, yes.
Yeah, and so one of the projects and what we're going to be speaking about today, the project that you run is Made4More,
Yep.
as well as a bunch of other stuff
Yes.
as the community development worker.
Uh-huh.
So what are some of the other stuff you do? And then we'll start talking about Made4More.
Some of the other stuff that I do is actually partnership working in the community at the Heart of Scotstoun Community Centre with Glasgow Clyde College, doing a wellbeing, fitness and healthy eating course, 8-week course. The next intake's in January. That's on a Monday. On a Tuesday, again, it's working in partnership with a local community centre, the Heart of Scotstoun, doing Teen Talk Tuesdays. Just sitting in the cafe having a chat with people to basically help combat isolation and loneliness. On a Wednesday, we run our Made4More workshops in that community centre as well. On a Thursday, I work in partnership with the North West Recovery Communities, Addiction Recovery Services and Mental Health Services, and I run wellbeing workshops for them on a Thursday. And on a Friday, we have a creative writing group on a Friday on Zoom. So it's quite a full-packed week.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah.
And it's all mental health focused,
Yes.
but it's holistic. You're engaging with things like diet, exercise,
Yep.
wide variety. What was it that got you into mental health service in the first place?
I think my past experience of mental health and addiction personally and professionally. So I've got lived experience of mental health, coming through mental health. Actually done counselling with Healing for the Heart for over a year, and I've got lived experience of being in addiction and being in recovery. I'm actually celebrating 12 years of recovery tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You doing anything to celebrate?
I'm going out with my family for a dinner and friends and stuff like that.
Oh, that would be nice. And so Made4More is kind of the main thing you do with us.
Yes.
And can you sort of tell us a little bit about what is Made4More?
Well, Made4More is a 12-week self-development supported volunteering programme. We go through a 12-week process where we do topic workshops every week, and we do initial 1-to-1 assessments as well, in mapping people's 3 key areas of people's well-being. And we run that for 12 weeks at a time. We do like midway reports and evaluations as well, just to make sure people are meeting their short-term and long-term goals.
So you're goal focused. You get people in at the start and you say, where do you want to be going?
Yes.
And then you're evaluating as you go along.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
And so when did it start?
Well, Made4More started initially as a pilot. 3 years, just over 3 years. We'll be going into the 4th year next year. It initially started as a pilot, and we thought through a discussion, myself and Shona had a meeting. Shona's the CEO of this organisation, and we had a chat, and we basically wondered what it would be like for people to get together and hear different people's perception on where they are with particular topics that make up positive mental health, and have a bit of a discussion-based group on that, or workshop on that.
Okay. So what kind of topics are you looking at in that?
Well, the topics that we cover are stigma, mental health, stress management, self-care, resilience, boundaries. Today we've done an amazing group on meaningful connections and communication. So they're just some of the topics that we cover. And we've done some of the steps to excellence stuff as well in the latter 6 weeks of the programme.
So I got two questions on that one. So what are the steps for excellence?
Mm-hmm.
And is there any topic that you cover that you would say is really close to your heart, or something that is a favourite of yours?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
All of them. But Steps to Excellence is basically CBT
Right.
focused. And it looks, again, it's about goal setting as well, and how people can achieve them goals, and looking at some of the barriers that are maybe in your subconscious mind that are blocking you off from achieving short-term and long-term goals. I think I've had both experience in addiction services and mental health services, working in the field of addiction and working in the field of mental health, and I really prefer the mental health, because I see the difference that it makes. The two of them are very closely linked, but not there's not a lot of organisations, addiction services and mental health services, that are working together with regards to that subject. So the mental health stuff, and the stress management, and the self-care, of course, are some of my favourites. Yeah.
So if on that note of stress management, I feel like I need a lesson. So what would you say? Well, actually, yeah. What do you cover when you're looking through that? Because you sit down for an hour, and
Yes.
2 hours. You sit down for an hour. Discussion based, practical based. What are you looking at? What are you learning?
Well, actually, some of the questions are quite basic, and it always amazes me that you've got a topic and people come into the group with the idea that they don't actually know what self-care is, or they don't actually know what stress management is. So that always amazes me. And then we will, the way the group work is that I will pose a question. I'll ask the group what is their perception on stress management, and the group will feed back, so they get the collective perception of the group in the room, and then I'll provide some information, like a dictionary definition, or a definition of what we believe stress management is, or what the dictionary definition is. So providing some information what it actually is, and then we'll look at, so what are some of the consequences that if you're stressed how is it going to impact you. So we spend two questions on the problem, and then we'll move into 2 questions on the solution. So how can you reduce your stress? How would that look like for you? And then we'll go into the preventive measures part, the latter part of the group, and kind of show people as well a lot of the things that they're doing right, because some people can focus on a lot of the things that they're doing wrong and not a lot of the things that they're doing right. And even if that's a small thing, that they didn't engage with some toxic relationships on that day, or they looked after themselves by going to a meeting, quite basic things. And then we'll give the self-care's attached to that as well. So we're mapping out, so what is self-care again? Both of that group goes together, because I like to give practical worksheets out for people, so that some people learn differently. Some people learn visually, some people learn auditory, and some people, it really impacts them if they write things down and they see it in front of them. So we'll do a self-care plan together. How do you look after yourself, for example, physically? What is it you need to do? How do you look after yourself mentally and emotionally? What is it you need to do? And the full group collectively gives everybody's different perspective on that, and ideas of how that would help that individual.
And so I would imagine actually in that group discussion, you're also having someone, one person coming up with an idea, and another person going, actually that would be really helpful for me.
Yep.
And
the peer support side to it is really important for people, because it builds relationships, it builds connection. A lot of the people that come, for example, to the groups that I do with the Northwest Recovery, a lot of them are coming in there, they've not been introduced to fellowships, they've not been introduced to support networks, and that is their only support network, and they're coming in there, they're only a couple of days clean and sober, or a couple of weeks clean and sober, they don't know anybody, they're disconnected, and that really impacts them mentally and emotionally, and it really supports them. So the peer supports are really important.
And just to clarify, so the Northwest communities that you just mentioned, that's the recovery network that you work with on Thursdays.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're using a lot of the stuff that you're actually teaching or going through in Made4More in your other services and other work.
Yep. Initially it was developed in Made4More and for Made4More. We continue to do that in Made4More. But other than just taking 10 people through a group work programme, we're doing like workshops in the community for the recovery community, and hopefully for the general community as well.
Cool. That's really cool. It's really exciting to hear about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know, I could imagine actually it might be quite hard to come across stuff, especially when you're saying you've got people coming into Made4More who don't have fellowship, they don't have community.
Yep.
So even coming across something which you might need may even be difficult, like accessing the information to get support.
Yes, definitely.
And well, actually, then on that note, so how do I get into Made4More? How do I find out about it?
Well, you can visit our Facebook or social media, social media pages.
Listen to our podcast.
Yes, listen to our podcast. But we are also in a lot of other different social networks as well. We're with the Heart of Scotstoun on their social media. We're in the Heart of Scotstoun. We're at the Tea and Talk Tuesday, for example. I'm providing information to people in that. The Northwest Recovery are putting us on their social media, and there's leaflets on their front desks and all of their recovery community desks in the Northwest. So, you know, I've been doing this work for over 10 years now, and I'm really connected in the recovery communities and in the general community in Whiteinch. But I would really like to expand out into other communities.
Yeah, I think I've got a question for you later on about that one. But the other thing I was wondering, so I've read through a few of the evaluations from Made4More, some of the projects some of the people even who have seen real change in their lives and their behaviours and their attitudes. And all of the evaluation forms have 4 categories. They've got physical health, learning and development, social networks and positive relations, and then future plans. And I was wondering, what made you choose those 4? And I can read them out for you again if you want. But were there other things that you might consider as well, or that you just don't write down? Or I don't know, what do you think?
I think the 4 key areas lead to a lot of things with regards to a person's well-being, you know, mentally and emotionally, physically, learning and development for purpose, and social and positive relationships and being connected are really important aspects. I think I chose them because I believe that that's what makes up positive mental health, and obviously because of my experience doing group work and in the recovery communities and working in mental health as well, because I used to work in mental health as a support worker. The key areas make up a person's general well-being.
Yeah.
And you know, it can be the most basics of things, again, like some people, for example, aren't consistent with taking medication, for example, or they've not been to the doctors in a long time. They've got health issues that they're maybe not addressing, and for somebody to sit down and say, oh well, you're scoring a low score on that, so how can you take that? You know, how can you get that score a wee bit higher? And they realise some of the things that they need to do for their physical health, even if that's going engaging with the doctor, taking medication consistently, eating a wee bit healthier, eating 1 meal a day, or you know, sleeping. All these things impact your mental health. So we really try and get the scores a wee bit better with that as well. And
so I know what you mean by scores, but what do you mean by that? So yeah.
on a scale initially at the first assessment, we'll you assess a person's physical health, for example, on a scale of 1 to 10.
And they'll assess it for themselves.
Yeah, I'll say to them, so on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think that you are reasonably with your physical health? And if they say a 2 or a 3, I'll say, well, why is it that at that score? And so they're actually thinking about that for themselves. It's very person-centred. They're actually thinking about that for themselves, and they're scoring it maybe at a 3, and sometimes it's higher. So I'm be like, well, realistically, why do you think? So I'm always questioning, why do you think it's at a 2, or why do you think it's at a 7, and get a general feel for where the person's at with their physical health. And so the short-term goal would be, so how can you get that from a 3, for example, to a bit higher, even if it's went up 1, to a 4. But we found quite quickly in the first 6 weeks that all the scores considerably change within the first 6 weeks of the programme.
And on that note, so as you're saying, and because you do
midway reports,
midway reports, that's it. So that's how you know that people are improving 6 weeks in.
Yes, and that's how they know they're improving, most importantly.
And so I highlighted some themes that I've picked up from the evaluation forms.
Fabulous.
And I was wondering if you could give a story, just one story on any of the things that might come to mind of someone that you've seen improve, and that we can know, there are real people with real stories who are seeing change. So one under drugs is recovery that I've picked out, family connections and reunions, and then employment, either being voluntary work, education, or employment, and getting full-time or part-time employment.
Yep. I think the one that always gets me, quite emotional in a sense, because I connect to the person, is the fact that people are getting their kids back in their life full time. I think that really impacts me, positively, for the work that not just I do, the people do as well, because there's accountability there, and they're taking responsibility, and they're reconnecting with, some people haven't even been consistent at contact for their kids, and they've changed consistency, and they've been going to contact with their kids, and they've worked towards getting their kids back in their life full time. Now I can think about at least 4 girls and their children that's happened to in the 3 years that
they've been
that I've
brought
worked.
back together.
Yeah, four families. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
And actually, they're still actually doing really well. And I've got another girl that's working towards that as well, so that'll be a 5th girl. So that kind of stuff really impacts me, just because I know about the damage and the impact that I've done to my own kids with my when my mental health wasn't that great, or I was in addiction and that kind of stuff. So the meaningful connections being brought back together again, so that really impacts me. The other ones that you spoke about there, I've seen people that have went back to education. There's a guy that's doing the same community development courses at university, doing the same university course in community development.
The same one that you did.
Yeah. They done the Activate course, and a few people went through the Activate course, because that's the thing. Because we're working in partnership with colleges, I know what courses are available, and I can signpost people to different courses that they might like, or that they want to do. I know where people are doing the Activate course in the communities, and I know quite a lot of the recovery community as well. So it's just connecting people to all these different avenues, or even giving them information that's there, because a lot of people don't know that actually these people are there, you know, the services are there to help them. So it's just connecting people, reconnecting people into these areas. You know, there's about 3 or 4 guys that I went back, they're in full-time work, and I sat for them the beginning and done helped them with personal statements, job applications, applying for jobs, and they're working in full-time jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it is pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing, the work that people do to get themselves well. You know, I'm just I don't know what the right word is. A channel. A channel to reconnect people. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd say, Donna, it's very impressive hearing the work you do.
thank you.
And I'm sure that these people really appreciate everything that you do for them.
Yeah.
So, got plenty more questions for you.
Great.
You've mentioned a bunch of areas like Scotstoun, or a bunch of other partners that you've worked with, Heart of Scotstoun, Northwest Communities. Where do you run Made4More?
It's actually in White in the Heart of Scotstoun Community Centre.
Okay.
Although we've moved to new lovely premises here in the town, I was still passionate about working in the community, because that's where my skill set is, in the community. So we work for there.
And how did you know that Made4More was needed?
I didn't. I didn't really. I've worked in addiction, I worked in mental health, and then I went to university and done an honours degree in community development, and I really enjoyed the development groups, development workshops, working with communities, and being involved in, you know, women's groups. And initially I was doing all that in my early recovery, like 10, 11 years ago, with the recovery communities, but I didn't really put the name to it. So you know, I like the community development work.
And how many people have you seen go through Made4More?
Well, it's actually cohorts of 10 people every 12 weeks. So that's like 30 people a year. So do the maths. 30 and 90 people.
Coming up to 120.
I know
Next year.
That's a lot. I'm rubbish at maths. No, I need to improve in maths.
Yeah,
I'm
there we
rubbish
go.
at maths.
There we go.
Language is important the way you speak to yourself, but I really need to improve in maths. But 120 people, wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is amazing, actually. And especially when you've got all of those stories coming out of recovery from addiction, family reunion.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Actually, something that I thought of when you were talking about the idea of people reconnecting with their family and their children, is actually it's a really self-sustaining project, because in your teaching you're talking about positive connections and meaningful connections and why they're important. And I'm guessing you've got people coming in who don't necessarily have them, which is why you're saying you might need this to help you grow. And then as you connect with your family again, or connect with an old relation or a friend or something through your self-improvement, you then make more meaningful connections and more positive relationships. Which is really cool when you do think about it, because it is, as I say, self-sustaining.
I think the group that we done in Meaningful Connections today, it was quite interesting that people mentioned themselves on it.
Interesting.
And because they think, we need to connect with everything and everybody else outside ourselves, but there isn't really any connection with themselves. So therefore, there's a whole host of reasons why. So therefore they find it difficult to connect to other people. And it was certainly some of the stuff that came out in my dissertation on connection, and my journey through counselling was what was missing, the connection to myself.
Wow.
So I found that really interesting to do in the group, because we always forget about ourselves, you know. So people please and please everybody else outside that connection, and forget about ourselves. So that was quite interesting.
That is very interesting. Does that come up most times you do the meaningful connections?
No, because it's the first time I've done it today.
Really?
I just thought, I just thought, like, you know, it's different. Made4More is a bit different because that's like planned group work, because I can map where people are on a weekly basis, and I'm checking in with them regularly. But it's a bit different when you're doing workshops in the community primarily for the addiction services, because there's a whole host of complex issues there, and you don't know what people have got, what support networks have got outside that meeting. That's one of the ones I just thought about and thought, I'm going to go develop a group on meaningful connections for that particular group. So it was the first time I'd done it today, and it was really interesting. That group's going to come to an end in 2 weeks before we break for Christmas, and we're going to evaluate the group and find out from the group. I mean, there's 29 people coming into that group, and we're going to find out in the evaluation, we're going to find out what kind of topics are important for people, and then I can go away, develop the group work and bring it back, because the Northwest Recovery is keen to keep us doing the workshops there and continue to work with us. So that's positive. I'm really pleased with that.
Well, that's good. That's great. And I was wondering, if I give you 3, I guess, themes, in a way they're topics, but ideas, so emotional resilience, connection, and sense of purpose, how does Made4More engage with those topics? We've definitely already touched on that in a way, but maybe if there was one of those things which you wanted to expand on, maybe emotional resilience, or any 3 of them. So emotional resilience, connection, sense of purpose.
I think we have covered them in most of the group work, but it's really interesting, as I said, that when you go in to start these group works, these groups, it's the most basic of things, and people don't actually know what they mean. So I think like raising awareness, and continuing to do the groups in the community, in the Northwest and Made4More would be really, really helpful. I think I already cover all the things in there implemented into Made4More, because again, it's the social and positive relationships and the learning and development cover the basis of purpose. So and I do resilience as well in the groups, so I'm already covering it.
So resilience is a topic in the groups?
It is one of the topics, yeah. What
do you look at in that?
In the resilience group, in the resilience group, it's like, well, what is resilience and how does that look for you? What are the barriers to resilience, and what are the different types of resilience? Because people don't know that there's emotional resilience, there's physical resilience. They don't know that this kind of information, very basic information, but a lot of people, what I'm finding in these groups, they go, before I come into this group, I didn't actually know what emotional resilience was. So there's all different things that are covered in the resilience. And how do you build resilience? It's all right saying what is resilience and how does that look. So how do you build that? But most importantly, people will actually find out at the end of the group that they have got resilience, and that's quite revealing for people. It's quite like a light bulb moment, like thinking, oh, I've got resilience. Again, what they're doing right and not focused on what they're doing wrong all the time. It's quite important.
Finally, last question, you're done. £10,000 gets dropped on your lap for Made4More.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice. It would be nice. It'd be very nice. What are you doing with it?
I think I would like to expand into different communities, maybe different, because I'm not only in the north with the addiction services. I would like to go into the east, for example, and the south, because I know that they've got drop-ins up there as well. So expanding the recovery communities, and I would also like to go into other communities like Rickazy, for example. I've done a wee bit of work up in Rickazy with the women up there. So, for example, going into another community, and also to do workshops for the community, you know, for people that don't need, people maybe that are isolated, they've got family that have got mental health issues, or they've got family that have got addiction issues, or, you know, like families of I don't want to say the general public, but it's kind of the general community, you know, that I've got family that have got these type of issues, because I think, you know, it's brilliant that the recovery community is so well established, and, you know, there's wellbeing groups for people that have got mental health, but sometimes the families can maybe not get access to a lot of these services, so that would be nice.
So expand, grow it.
Yep.
Start engaging with, I guess if you're doing families, you're getting kids along, and
yeah, definitely working with youths, yeah, working with youths of a certain age.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thanks, Donna. Thanks for sitting down and chatting to me.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll be able to tell many more stories all about Made4More and the recovery community, and be able to see and hear about more positive change.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.